I don't think his heart jumped 2 weeks ago when his agent called him.
I would not have done it, but I do think they were open to the possibility, again, a big picture move, they've been ruthless before, for trading him for one of those wide receiver needy teams in the early 20s. If the guy that they wanted, I would imagine it would have been a lineman, right? They're not trading him for a safety or a corner. To me, they would trade him for, like, this is our plug-and-play right tackle, who maybe can play left tackle, right? Who's, a type guy that, like, well, if Trent went down, we could bump him over. Feels like their type move. A big body, or maybe some sweet pass rusher. Well, none of those wide receivers, the first wide receiver that came off the board was 20. I wonder if those guys had gone, like it happens in a lot of draft, and those teams like the Chargers, the Giants, I know the Giants ended up taking a wide receiver, but the Ravens, would one of those teams have been open for trading? Like last year, remember Hollywood Brown got traded to the Ravens in the mid-20s. I think Brandon Aiyuk's a better player than him at the same time, and definitely a more consistent, like easygoing guy. That I wonder if it was simply business. Like it was just, we're going to keep our options open. And I know a lot of people, because I think I tweeted this out, like, well, Justin Herbert got his option picked up on Friday morning too. Like it's a little different. Like John Lynch couldn't answer with a straight face. Brandon Aiyuk situation. Obviously, Justin Herbert's not on the fucking trade block. And I'm not even saying if Brandon Aiyuk was on the trade block. I wonder if they had just had discussions, because they had admitted they had received calls about him. So his value to me was like based on previous. Would you have traded him for 21 for a right tackle? Like if that had happened, are we sitting here like that's a pretty ballsy fucking move? I would say
it would have been right. I mean, and the receivers all got drafted together basically at the end of the first round
in rapid fire, all three,
four in a row.
4 in a row.
Yeah, 4 in a row. Smith and Jigba, Quentin Johnson, Zay Flowers, Jordan Addison. Boom, 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 boom. So those are the teams you're talking about. You wouldn't trade him to Seattle.
Doesn't that feel kind of what he would go for, 22, 23, 21?
Where he was drafted? Well, I mean, it's tough, right? I would say it's where he was drafted, and his value is better now than it was when he drafted, but it's a sliding scale. You also have the cost now is going to be higher on him than when he was drafted, right?
Well, if you traded for him like Hollywood, I think Hollywood might have been on his 5th-year option. You would have 2 years. If you pick up the 5th-year option, you basically have 2 years under that total, right?
The thing that makes it hard, though, John, is he has a higher value now than he did when you drafted him. But when you draft around the 20s a receiver, this is what you're expecting. So if you're a team drafting it.
Well, do you think Jordan Addison's a better player than Brandon Aiyuk? Like what you've seen out of Brandon Aiyuk in the NFL in the biggest moments, like do you expect Jordan Addison to be that good?
No, I think you bet against it. But at the same time, he was the Biletnikoff Award winner 2 years ago. Like if you're the Vikings, you go, what makes more sense for us? We're about to change quarterbacks next year. Why would we acquire Brandon Aiyuk now when we can just draft Jordan Addison and hope that he becomes as good or better a player, right? It's like he's worth more than 24 to you, but if you're sitting at 24 and you have receivers available to you that you like, you just take those guys.
And it's like part of the reason you're trading for him because you're not willing to pay Debo and him. Well, we're about to give Justin Jefferson way more money than Debo got, right?
Right. Well, imagine put the shoe on the other foot. The Niners are sitting there at 21 and they need a receiver. And you got 3 receivers available. Do you trade 21 for Brandon Aiyuk, or do you just draft the best receiver there?
I saw some highlights of Zay Flowers. I wasn't super locked into Boston College. I was like, God, I see a little Debo-ish here. He looks kind of sweet.
The problem is the argument is like, well, should you drafted a tight end for Lamar instead of the Zay Flowers type? But you're right. I mean,
the comp they use, which it's the easiest thing to do. It's like, who's Michael Mayer? Gronk. Who's Zay Flowers? Tyreek Hill. Like, no, those guys. So there are going to be 2 Tyreek Hills playing in the NFL at the same time when we've never had a Tyreek Hill playing for 50 years of football.
Yeah.
But who knows?
But I think the fact that he, and who knows who they liked. Like, the problem is there wasn't even the tackles didn't go anywhere close to the receivers, right?
Maybe it's a D lineman.
Maybe. Who would they have? You couldn't do it. Could you do it for Kalijah Cansey?
Was that the guy from Pitt?
Yeah.
I heard Russillo, like, you are not allowed, just because the guy's from Pitt and somewhat undersized, to then compare him to Aaron Donald. Same type deal. It went like back-to-back-to-back picks. It's like, who's this guy? Tyreek Hill. Who's this guy? Fucking You know, think whoever the best players are at the position. It's like this is a bad draft, and we're in the late teens, 20s, and we're comparing them like 3 straight first ballot Hall of Famers. What are we doing?
I wonder if they would have felt like we need a top 15 pick in order to trade Aiyuk, right?
Yeah, maybe it was just
because again,
keep
trading
your
him
options
for
open.
22, trading him for 21, like the perception in this draft was you're getting a second round graded player.
Yeah.
So if you could trade him and get one of the top tackles, all the guys that went in the top 14, and get Broderick Jones, or I don't even know, Peter Skoronski, maybe they do that.
One thing I'd heard about Skoronski, he got short arms. People think he's more likely.
Well, I don't think they would have liked Broderick Jones or the guy or Paris Johnson. I think. Yeah.
When did Broderick go? Didn't he go like 14 to the Steelers?
14, and the tape was just like blows your mind when you watch him move. I mean, I'm not saying he's Trent, but it just made you think of Trent when you watch a man 6'8", he's 308.
Where'd he go to college?
Well, I'll give you like a guess.
Georgia?
Yeah.